EVO 2019 was this weekend as a bunch of high-level competitors competed to be called the best player in their respective games. On top of all that, a bunch of new announcements for these fighting games were made this weekend, one of which being Arc System Works' newest Guilty Gear game, said to be released in 2020. Now, Guilty Gear is one of my favorite fighting games. In fact, Guilty Gear X2 was the first fighting game that really got me hooked into fighting games and got me learning more and trying to get better at them. So, when their little teaser trailer, only like a minute and a half long, was dropped at EVO 2019, I lost my shit. I am super excited to see a new entry into this game series that I love so much, and I'm glad it's not taking as long as Guilty Gear Xrd did to come out. And frankly speaking, I'm not seeing enough of you motherfuckers talk about how hype this new game is. So I want to talk about some of the things that I'm hoping to see in Guilty Gear Xrd, as well as things that I hope that they don't do, you know. So first off, in the trailer we get to see a glimpse of how the game runs, as we see a little clash against Kai, Kisuke, and Soul Bad Guy, the two protagonists of the game, and I must say they're looking freaking sleek. The graphics look phenomenal. I really like Kai's redesign in this game. It's cool to see him go back to short hair. I like the simple black look that he has, which makes me think that maybe story-wise maybe he's not in the Holy Order anymore, or disowned his kingship, whatever, can't really say. Or maybe it's just like they're going to before like events, like a prequel kind of game, because I mean the last game he had long hair, the X2 he had short hair, so maybe they're going back to that era. I don't know, story's all over the place anyways, that's not very important. What is important, however, is though we see in this short little trailer, we see Kai knock Soul through the wall, and we get a little like stage transition, kind of like Dead or Alive really, where they get sent flying into another arena and then they just keep fighting from there. And that is very interesting. In fact, I really want to see more of that. I can't wait till they show us more about that, because that could change things up drastically, because a lot of what Guilty Gear is you get neutral, you land a hit, you do a combo, and you knock your opponent down and set them up for another mix-up and stuff. And a lot of that has to do with carrying your opponent into the corner and applying a ton of pressure because they have nowhere to go. They're stuck in the corner. And if this stage transition thing is like, I guess DOA, where you kind of like do a powerful hit and it just knocks you out of the corner, this means that there's going to be a lot more play in neutral, and it's going to be a lot less about corner pressure and corner carrying, and that'll drastically switch up the dynamic and the flow of how Guilty Gear normally plays. So I want to see more if it's like that, or if it's just like if it's just more like the not dramatic finishes, but the way Dragon Ball works, where you do a powerful blow to finish off your opponent and they're sent flying, and the stage kind of sort of transitions, but not really, you just kind of move over a bit. It might be something more like that, which would be less drastic on the flow of gameplay. Additionally, outside of this trailer, I have heard talk, I think from Arc System Works employees, or like the developer or whatever, has mentioned that they want to simplify Guilty Gear a little bit. And for those of you that don't know, who maybe are not that familiar with the Guilty Gear series, it is known to be one of the most, if not the most complicated fighting game in all of existence. There's a lot going on. You got, first off, it's an anime fighting game, so it's like really fast paced, lots of combos, a lot of knockdown, mix up, corner pressure. But then there's like just so many extra mechanics in the game, like Roman cancels, dead angles, burst, clash time, whatever it's called, where you hit each other at the same time and suddenly time slows down and everything hurts more and is like longer hits done. There's that, there's guts, there's all these little extra mechanics that have been added in since, the original Guilty Gear, that just have made the game overall more complicated. Oh yeah, the biggest one of these being the weight system, where each character has like a different type of weight, meaning you have to switch up your combos based on how heavy your opponent is. So some combos might work on a character like Kai, but they're not going to work on a character like Potemkin, who's much heavier. All this makes this game more complicated, and I think the developers have said that they want to simplify this a little bit while still maintaining the complexity of Guilty Gear, which is going to be a hard balancing act. And if you look at the games Arc System Works has been pumping out recently, What I'm afraid that they might do in the new Guilty Gear is add an auto combo system. I think they have a simple version in Xrd that you can turn on if you feel like, but it defaults to the normal way of playing Guilty Gear, which is what most people do, and that's fine, but I just don't want them to make the auto combo system a core part of how you combo in the game like it is in Dragon Ball FighterZ and BlazBlue Cross Tag and stuff like that. And even their newer game coming out later this year, Granblue Fantasy, which is so much based in the auto combo system that you actually can't combo your opponent without doing auto combos. It becomes such a press this button 3 times, do a special, press this button 3 more times, and do another special that the combos kind of get boring. And I would hate for Guilty Gear to do that. I wouldn't mind them simplifying some things, like maybe taking out that weight system. That would be nice, because honestly, that's more stuff to think about than I really want to. Like guts, you don't need guts either. That's kind of a weird thing where, like, you know, some people like Chip, for example, one of the lowest health or defense totals in the game until you get to that guts area, and then he becomes the tankiest motherfucker to ever exist, and it just makes things more and more complicated. So I'm hoping that, you know, if they add some sort of auto combo thing, it's kind of an optional thing, or, you know, very much not like an integral part of your system, and definitely not like it is implemented in Dragon Ball FighterZ, where you can just mash that light attack repeatedly, even if you whiff and don't hit anything, and your auto combo will still go off. Guilty Gear doesn't need that. Other things that I would like to see in the new Guilty Gear game is just like a return of some of the single player forms. Like, a lot of fighting games these days seem to forget about the single player experience. It's all about online matches, which they don't even get that right, because don't get me started about online lobbies and net play, because it hasn't been perfected yet. It could still use a lot of work. But I want to see an actual return of like a real story mode, like not these CGI cutscenes that we got in Xrd and these visual novels we seem to get in other games like Unist and all that stuff. I want to see an old school Guilty Gear X2 style story mode where you get to play, different things happen based on, you know, things that you do, because that shit was fun. Even if you're not really big into like story mode kind of stuff, it's nice to have an option of something to do in the game that doesn't require you to play online against other people. There are a lot of casual like fighting game players that just want something to do other than get their ass handed to them online. So, you know, that story mode would be great. But another thing I want to see in the single player mode is the old school Guilty Gear survival mode. I don't know why they ever took this out, but survival mode in Guilty Gear X2 was the shit. The best survival mode I have seen in any fighting game ever thus far. And I want to see that why not bring that back? That stuff was fun. Way more fun than just going until you die. Like, they had a system where you like kind of ramp up in levels, and every 20 levels you fight an EX version of one of the characters, and then after you go through the entire roster you fight like a golden EX version, which is like a boss version doing ridiculous damage, and that stuff was fun. They can bring that back, because again, the single player experience in a lot of these fighting games has been lackluster at best. There just needs to be something in these games to do other than play online against other people, because while that's fun, and the most hardcore fighters, like, you know, I love Guilty Gear, so I'm going to be playing online all the time, grinding it out to become better players so I don't just lose to everybody. But, you know, there needs to be an experience outside of just that. It's a game. You're paying money for a full game, and so I want to see some of that in there. Other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing more new characters, maybe a return of some old characters that just haven't been in like Xrd, like Anji or whatever, you know, some Cliff even. I just want to see Guilty Gear get the kind of support that a lot of these newer fighting games have been getting lately, with a lot of patch updates and balance changes to constantly keep the game fresh, as well as like, you know, new characters, season passes, whatever that stuff that all the other fighting games have been getting lately. That'd be pretty cool. I can't wait to see Guilty Gear return to the tournament circuit, see it at EVO again, see it just get the support that it deserves, because it is one of the best fighting games of all time, and always has been, and I have full confidence that it always will be with this next iteration. Anyways, I hope you're as hyped for Guilty Gear 2020 as I am, and let me know what you're hoping to see in Guilty Gear 2020 once we get more news about it.